Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report, or rather a double-header battle report. These games were recorded at our latest meet-up at Nightly Gaming in Bathgate. The two games here are part of Valley Gaming's Firestorm Arnhem campaign that's been going on for quite a while, I have to say, and I think this might be the last round that we're playing. So hopefully we can get on to some Berlin games, Berlin German, Berlin Soviets, and give those lists a good run out. So I've got two games for you. I'm defending in both. I'm playing Germans. Now, I've seen in previous campaign games that, for instance, Mark, playing 30 core, plays every single game just about as an attacker in no retreat against German Grenadiers. So I've brought along something different so you can get a different kind of game. And then against Peter, I've seen him having to attack with his paras against armoured Panzer Grenadiers with flamethrower half-tracks, Panzer III flamethrowers, the whole lot, a hardly main battle tank to be seen. So I brought along a different kind of different kind of list, so he can have a different kind of game, and he's not going to have to fight his way through minefields and so on with these paras whilst he get machine gunned and mortared to bits. Let's go over to the first game where I'm going to be defending in a mobile mission against Mark's 30 core. So to give him a change, I've brought tanks in the main because it's a Berlin Panzer battle group. So it's got a HQ of 2 Panzer 470s, a platoon of 4 Panzer 470s, 2 platoons of 4 Panzer 4s, 4 Wehrbohns, the escort platoon, 7 base escort platoon, and it's got a bit of support from the wee scout half-tracks and Wesps with an observer. If I've missed anything, we'll find out soon enough when you see the game. Now I've also got a couple of Firestorm units to add to that, and that's Fallschirmjäger platoon of 10 stands and an armoured SS Panzer Grenadier platoon, standard 7 stands. And you'll see Mark's list when we get it up on the table. So let's get started with the mission. The mission for the first game is a new one to me. I've never played it before, and that's Valley of Death. It's a bit of an ominous title, and it's a bit of an ominous mission, to be honest, because looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, this could potentially be really difficult for the attacker or the defender. Though I have to say the two other times I think I've seen this getting played, the defender has been wiped out pretty easily. Now, it's a mission in which you shouldn't have to defend with a defensive list, because you can't get this mission if you choose the defence stance. It's more of a mobile mission, because the defender doesn't have an ambush, there's no minefields, and there's scattered reserves. The objectives don't go live till turn 6. That and the fact that the attacker has reserves, immediate reserves, means it's a bit of a dust-up kind of game. But it's really dependent for the success of the defence on the terrain. I think terrain is key here. You need to be able to move into no man's land to get the objective, to get onto the objective. The attacker can easily move up the middle of the table, depending on the terrain once again, where you can actually hide your forces on the flanks, on the edges of the table. So really tricky all round. So I'm not sure about it as a mission. I don't know if I like to play it, but what I would say is that this was a great game and there was challenges for both of us, and as you'll see how we tried to tackle those challenges. One thing I need to say about the campaign rules affecting this game. In the campaign, the Germans are out of supply, which has an impact on motivation. I have to reroll successful motivations. Now, I knew that before I chose my list, because the Panzer group, the battle group, is reluctant, so that could be interesting. But I'm up for a challenge, and I would like to see these guys on the table. The book's been out for a bit, so we need to see them in action. Right folks, so deployment. First of all, let's start with, I'm defending this end. Mark's attacking from that end. He'll be based around there. He's put an objective here and here. So I have got well, an observer there, my SS Panzer Grenadiers and my Scouts, and then a platoon of 4 Panzer IVs. And then over here I've got 4 more Panzer IVs, my Wehrbohns and my Wesps. The Wesps have got line of sight through various channels, depending whether or not they get destroyed during the game, and the observer can see over there. So in reserve I have my HQ of 2 Panzer 470s, a platoon of 4 Panzer 470s, the Panzer Battle Group Infantry, and the Fallschirmjägers it is. So that's me deployed. Let's see where Mark deploys. Do you want to cover off your deployment?
Yeah, sure. On table, the British have a troop of 4 Shermans, 2 with 75s and 2 with 17 pounders, HQ of 2 75 Shermans, troop of 3 Stuarts with 37mm, a troop of Shermans with 2 75s and 1 17 pounder, another troop of 2 17 pounders, 2 75s and 1 17 pounder, and a battery of 4 sextons. In reserve, they have got a battery of 4 sextons, a troop of 4 Shermans, 2 17 pounders, 2 75s, and these guys are actually these Cromwells and a Challenger. So that is a Firestorm unit, and one of the battery sectors is a Firestorm unit for campaign purposes. And that's it.
Right. So ready to kick off?
Yep.
Mark, turn 1 summary for the Brits.
Turn 1 summary for the Brits is basically get up there, fastest with the mostest. So we've pretty much dashed with everybody. They've terrain dashed. Stuarts have made their full cross-country dash. They've road dashed. They've made a cross-country dash. They've made a cross-country dash. Didn't get in reserves. So it's basically a case of getting up into the face of the Germans.
Yes.
We look reasonably safe from German shooting at the moment until they moved.
I'm going to be forced to move. And this turn you might as well move because it's a meeting engagement, you've got no artillery, you're moving rate of fire anyway. Yep. I'm going to ground, so you're just pushing on up.
So that's it.
So German turn 1, movement was really just hiding. I really don't like this, folks. I could get killed very quick, and the objectives don't go live till turn 6, so I'm playing at cages. So the infantry have dashed out of here. The scouts are hugging the wood. These tanks have moved behind from a position where they can potentially blitz out. I've not moved the wearable ones. These guys have tried to blitz to see what options are because there were potential shots up there, for instance, but they failed the blitz, of course. So that just left for shooting the Wesps, who managed to range in. I'll stick a marker down a second. Range in here, and they managed to get one kill. That one was okay. I didn't actually bail that one out.
You didn't? Oh,
because I could only bail it and I failed the firepower. So, 1 section's away and I'm ranged in just there using the observer. But that's it. So, it's a cagey game, folks.
Hey, so the British have continued their somewhat cautious advance. The British Shermans there have gone behind the wood. Shermans from the road have moved into the wood. The Stuarts decided to try and go sneaky and shoot up his artillery. As normal, though, one of my tanks failed to cross, so 2 of them got there. In the central group, 1 failed to cross, and then on this side, these guys moved up to occupy this wood, and again, 1 of them failed to cross. The Sherman HQ fell in behind. I didn't get any reserves, and the artillery, seeking a bit of revenge, fired down at the Panzer Grenadiers hiding behind the wood, and managed to knock out one of their APCs and kill one of the passengers. We fired some shots at the OP unsuccessfully.
Yeah, there was 6s here, needed 7s here, and the Stuarts are in a good position now to fire next turn, but this turn they needed 7s because of range and overworked. Yeah. German turn 2, the motivation was okay for these guys. Remember, I have to reroll successfuls in this mission, but they're fearless and they managed it. In terms of movement, these guys here, Panzer IVs failed a blitz. They're staying put, don't know what to do with them yet. These Panzer Grenadiers moved out from under this template. The Wehrbohns moved up, and the Panzer IVs on this side passed a blitz So in terms of shooting, those Panzer IVs managed to, between them, kill 2 Stuarts and bail 1. And the Rebel ones, 3 of them were able to fire against the surviving Stuart and got 4 hits, but the best you could do was a bail, got nothing. They then shooted and scooted back. So that's it, turn 3, so definitely going to be British reserves coming next turn, and maybe some for mine. Still not sure how this mission really plays, folks.
So, motivation. The sole survivor of the Stuarts decided that he would get back into his tank, but then he decided that being in the tank and leaving was better than staying away, so he's left. 3 4s for reserves, 3 4s for reserves. So eventually I get 1 because it's allowed, and they've galloped up the road. After that, some firing. So basically, these 3 units fired at the observer and managed to bail him.
You did. What you got 2 hits on him on 7s, though. That wasn't bad.
Yes, that wasn't bad. But they were only with the well, it didn't matter. They were all 3 pluses. So, and over the far side, the Shermans had a blink at the Panzer IVs and did nothing. They just missed.
And there was another couple of failed cross checks.
And artillery. Oh yeah, sorry. Whenever I play, at least one of my tanks does not complete the cross checks. In this case, 2 didn't. He didn't, and he didn't. The artillery fired and actually didn't bother to range in on the nice concentration of German armour with the flank panzers and the Panzer IVs. And that was the Allied turn.
So German turn 3, first of all, in terms of motivation, the observer didn't get back in. 1 dice for reserve, but no reserves arrived. In terms of movement, these guys failed another blitz. I don't really know what to do with my wearable ones, so they're just moving up. The only thing they can now kill are the sextons. I don't fancy the chances getting there. They've just kind of stayed put. They stayed put and fired. So they managed to get, because these guys were concealed, they managed to get 2 hits and 2 kills on the ordinary Shermans, but Firefly's still alive. They tried to shoot and scoot at them and they failed again. They seem to be failing a lot of shooting and scooting and blitz rolls. And then the artillery, the observer couldn't help, so they were on a penalty of 1 to hit a sexton, but they managed to get a hit and a bail. But they're fearless, the sexton, so they're likely to get back in. So definitely going to be more British reserves coming. I think the momentum is building up for the Brits. I need my reserves in as well.
So motivations, the Firefly over on the far side had his last man standing. He decided he didn't want to stand over there. The Sexton got back in. For reserves, we got 1 reserve, so I brought on the Comets. And basically all that happened was the Comets galloped up the road. The Shermans over here managed to KO his, managed to get a bail and managed to KO his observer.
There was plenty of other shots available if that didn't work.
And everybody else doesn't really have much of a target at the moment. So everybody else is basically done, and the artillery did fire and ranged in on the half tracks basically, or the woods half track, and managed to bail one of them. So not that useful for the Allies, but
you've got a huge wedge of armour now ready to fly into there, so I could do with some reserves. We'll see if I get any. So German turn 4, first of all, motivations, it didn't remount. Nothing for reserves. In terms of movement, these guys passed a blitz. They blitzed out. The other 2 further out had to take a tactical. And then these guys here failed a blitz. They're just roaming around the battlefield wondering, the only thing they can kill is the sexton. So the sexton's over there, so they thought, let's go and see if we can get a sexton. And then I've moved these things into the danger zone just now, whilst the Panzer IVs are out there, hoping to buy a bit of time with the incoming fire that's going to clobber me back. Now, as far as shooting goes, these guys did a bit too well. Managed to get about 4 hits out of 6 dice, something mad like that. 1 Firefly survived, the other ones failed the saves, and I passed them firepowers. These needed 7s to hit over there now because of their failed blitz range and concealing smoke. So that platoon's taking a bit of a gubbin. I am, however, a little bit especially down here, because they failed to shoot and scoot. They could have dodged back into some kind of cover. I am, however, in the open. So let's see if this flood of arrow can keep coming down.
So, motivation, the only person who had to stand was him. Benefit of the company commander, he stayed. Reserves, the last reserves came on. Not fancying a direct shootout with the flak panzers, so we'll stay over here. And then, basically, split firing of the Fireflies shooting at the tanks down there. So, basically, all the Fireflies in the Challenger, which is a Challenger, bar this one, fired down there and managed to kill that company. In fact, the last one was actually killed by a 75. 75 feet. And then otherwise we fired most of the 75s into the squadron here, which we killed 2 and have bailed 1. This guy had a pop at the Panzer IVs over there and missed. The artillery changed location and then just did hit these 2 guys, but they both passed their saves,
so definite revenge for the Brits. So turn 5? Turn 5 for the Germans. That half-track still not go back in. I think that might have been the only motivation. I don't know if he needed to do a motivation, but he's dead.
He did try to motivate, but he ran away.
Right, aye. So he failed and he's dead. In terms of reserves, 3 dice but only got 1, and they're all in for this side of the table, folks. So in terms of movement, the infantry got out of this and moved forward. They stay put. The rebel wings think the tank hunters, so they're coming around the edge of there, and you can see where my reserves arrived. So in terms of shooting, I forgot to do my bombardment, I'll come back to that, it won't do much. In terms of shooting, these guys got just the 1 hit, it was feeble, and they rolled a 6 for his save, so you imagine what that did. These guys, though, between them, needing 5s, 4 shots managed to get 2 hits on him, and 1 hit over here, but he went on to mistaken target on a Cromwell, failed firepower there, but the Firefly died. But they're now saying, hello, here we are, deal with us. So, I would just try a repeat bombardment with the Wesps on one single Sexton got a hit, so potential, nah, he's fine. Right, so that's it for me, folks. I will get more reserves in next turn. I would like more than 1 coming in, because then infantry might be able to make it lucky and then rush over here. But certainly the door is now opening. Oh, by the way, they failed the shoot and scout. There you go.
So motivation, the Sherman here decided he had enough and legged it. Obviously having some 470s behind him didn't encourage him. These guys stayed stationary. These guys moved up. HQ moved up. These tanks moved up. From a firing point of view, these guys fired at the Panzer IVs, did nothing. These guys fired at the Panzer IVs, did nothing. Then this guy knocked out one of the Panzer IIIs, and this was something else. Oh, I think it was the firefighter from there knocked out the other one.
2 indeed. 3 bases got out.
Then artilleried them.
And then they all died.
So some people didn't have targets, and that was it. Put a smoke barrage down here to try and save us from the enemy. We've got a problem with those guys to still hit us, and whatever reserves come on might still hit us.
The most important thing is, if he doesn't die next turn, and if I somehow don't get anybody in there, then you've won the game next turn.
Yep.
Because he's within 4 inches. So that's... if he was within 4 inches, he wouldn't be able to shoot the Panzer IVs.
So he wasn't.
So he missed the Panzer IVs anyway, so just moving forward. Right, so over to me. German turn 6, folks. So in terms of motivation, these guys ran away. Remember, there's reroll successfuls because of the mission rules. In terms of reserves, everything arrived. I've not put the Fallschirmjäger on. They're coming on over this side, so they're just going to be running over the table. I'll get that. Panzer 470s arrived here, and the infantry from the Panzer Brigade arrived there. So in terms of movement, Crazy Werewolf ones have moved up. Panzer 470s moved up into the smoke so they were close enough to see. These guys have arrived over here, as you can see. They moved up to Faust and Assault, they moved up to shoot. I got one Panzer IV through the wood and one didn't. The other ones stayed put because of targets. And then I did quite a lot of decent shooting. As you can see, this platoon here has got one bailed, one alive, and 2 dead. That was from these guys. It was quite nasty. They missed with the Fausts. They managed to hit him, kill him. They went in for the assault, and they took something like 5, 6, something bad like 6 hits for defensive fire out of 7. So that went badly. These actually managed to kill a bailed out Cromwell because it rolled a 1 and was double bailed, and then these guys missed. So there's nothing within 4 inches. I have another turn grace, but my arse is kind of hanging out there, folks. It's quite a tense game. I'll put my reserves on. I reckon they're probably going to come along this way somewhere to try and do something about that objective, but they've got to come on from that side.
Okay, so desperate measures call for desperate means. Frank had knocked out my 2 tanks holding the objective, so I had to move up. So the guys that were here to get the guy back in, which he got back in, saved the Cromwell platoon. They basically moved up over to here. The Shermans from here have moved up to here. HQ's moved up into here, so I've got as much as I can on the objective. These guys stood their ground. The artillery no longer had a target, so they came out, filled the blitz, came out, failed to hit the guys over here. These guys managed to knock out, these 2 combined, managed to knock out 1 Panzer for 70. We managed to bail him in his first shot, but then we did nothing. These guys were quite successful. They got 4 hits, but only killed 2 of these, but bailed the other 2. These guys fired, this guy fired back into them and managed to get a bail. The artillery, right, 2nd battery, managed to range in, didn't do anything to the tanks, but did kill 1 infantryman and pinned that infantry, which hopefully will stand me in good stead for Frank's next turn.
Yeah, because I've got to deal with this now, guys. To be honest, if Mark had decent firepower rolls that turn, he could be dead, and there's only one of them left alive only because of mistaken target. And my infantry are all pinned, so we'll have to see what happens when they try to unpin with this reroll motivations. Right, folks, what turn is the Mark? Turn 8, right. So it's going to come to conclusion pretty soon, I reckon. So in that turn, let me think what the hell happened. The Falchion Brigade didn't unpin. The guys did. With a lot of dice rolling because of the support for the HQ and the mission rules. They legged it. He didn't get back in. Then in terms of movement, Panzer IV swept around. These guys moved up 4 in the assault. He stayed put. They stayed put. And in terms of shooting, they pretty much hammered the HQ, who jumped into a tank which is now over there. These guys came in, Fausted. He fired and missed. They guys managed to kill the 2 tanks in the wood. They couldn't see the 3rd one. Which left the Cromwells, the HQ, and 1 over there. So I assaulted, he was still alive but bailed from the Faust. Killed him. He came around, killed one of them. I broke off because I'm reluctant, and then he consolidated to get into command distance for him. Because next turn there'll be some motivations to do, and it's potential for Mark to win the game because they're still alive.
Right. Okay. So last turn, HQ couldn't better consolidate. Saved this guy, so he stayed in his place. So that big formation's still there. This guy moved around, fired at him, didn't do anything. HQ then fired and managed to bail him, so that's the game.
That's the game.
And that was it. Didn't do any more shooting. So the Allies have snuck it by the sneak of their teeth.
They've got 2 Shermans, a Cromwell, and a Challenger left. There's not a lot on, and artillery. There's not a lot left alive on the German side as well, to be honest. So there you go, folks. That was quite a close run game, but really enjoyable as well. It kind of swung one way or another. Mark really had to stick his neck into the noose, so to speak, to get the win. That's why he took as many casualties as he did, but that was what was needed. And it's about objectives at the end of the day, not how many teams are left alive on the battlefield, because you can keep your teams alive if you don't pay attention to the objectives, if you see what I mean. So it's a fair result, definitely. As far as doing things differently myself, oh dear, the mission's still a bit of a mystery to me, and how you're supposed to play it, especially if the terrain is against you and you've not got anywhere to move into, or you don't have very good cover on the flanks. That table was terrible for cover, to be honest. The terrain was all up and down the middle, so the linear cover that you could hide behind, there wasn't really much for me to use, so it was tricky. But one mistake I definitely did make was my first assault with the escort platoon. I didn't put down a smoke barrage. That could have got them in, maybe killed a couple of tanks, maybe would have made a difference, maybe not. But anyway, a great game. So let's go over to game number 2, me against Peter. So the second game, I'll tell you now folks, it timed out. We ran out of time. We finished this at about 5:30 in the afternoon, and we've been playing since 2:30. I reckon it would have had about another hour to play, but there's still plenty of gameplay in it. Peter has got his US Paras, but they're not isolated anymore. They do at least have some armoured support. So he's got a couple of British tank platoons to help him out, but otherwise he's got a US Paraforce. I'm defending with a beach defence formation and a Panzer IV formation. So very vanilla. There's not a great deal of armoured mobile machine gun pillboxes to shoot up his artillery, and certainly no flamethrowers. The beach defence, they're not the best quality, they're aggressive and they're green, so they're not going to be very good in assaulting. And the Panzer IVs, well, they're just very vanilla as well. So he's not going to be overwhelmed unfairly, shall we say, like I feel he probably has been in previous games. So let's go over, start with a mission and see what kind of defence I need to put up. In game 2 we're playing a good old familiar mission, Breakthrough. This is one where, like the first game, the defender has to get up out of the deployment zone and move onto the objectives, but the deployment zones are much bigger, they're central, and they're really just one easy step away from the objectives. Now, once again here, terrain is important. When you're choosing what zones to deploy in as a defender, you've not only got to consider where you're starting in the cover that's available, you have to consider where you potentially might move into, because the diagonally opposite deployment zones are going to be either where your opponent starts or where the objectives are going to be. So you have to think, where am I going to move to, potentially, as well as where am I starting? Now, the reserves will arrive in the corners, as you'll see, and the attacker's reserves will arrive on the corner of the objective quarter of the table. So there's a lot going on. It's always an interesting game, and it actually is a bit of a challenge for the defender, to get up and move safely to the objective and get dug in time before the reserves arrive. If they get pinned on the way there, they're going to be in big trouble. So here's my deployment, folks. It's Breakthrough as a mission. I chose here and here to deploy in because I didn't want to have to move into that area to hold objectives. So Peter, as you can see, is coming in from here. He's put one objective there as close to him as possible, and one as far away from that as possible. That's where his reserves will arrive. So what have I got? I've got 3 Pack 40s in ambush. Then we have platoon, full platoon there. Another full platoon here. HQ there. Observer, the Firestorm Panzer 470s there, they look like not Panzer 470s, Panzer 4s are not Panzer 470s, so they're only anti-tank 11. I have to remember that and not get carried away. Mortar platoon, Wests, and then a wee advance group to head out towards that. So they'll easily deal with infantry but not with armour. So quite a compact deployment zone. I'm actually contesting that, but I probably do need to move, but you can see pre-ranged in going here and here on the objective from there. I put mine there in anticipation of a move towards that objective. So, breakthrough. Let's see what Peter deployment goes like. Right, Peter, you've got an absolute ant's nest in your deployment zone, so what is it? What have we got?
What have I got? I've got one para platoon over here. These guys, they've got an extra bazooka and an extra HMG, or LMG.
Right.
This is a glider platoon, slightly less fearless than the paras. 57 anti-tank guns. We've got mortars here and artillery here. Recon jeeps over here, and one guard Sherman platoon with 2 Fireflies.
Now you said these guys have sticky bombs. What do they do?
Sticky bombs, well,
Apart from stick to things.
the gliders don't have sticky bombs, but the 2 paras
Right.
have sticky bombs.
Because you have a para platoon and Cromwell platoon, is
Cromwells
it?
of the
In reserve.
yes.
And they'll be coming on
Yes.
for sticky bombs.
Sticky bomb, what the hell do the units get an anti-tank 3 with a firepower of 1 plus.
Right. Until the end of the
Until
turn.
the end of the turn, so we get that for 1 turn.
Right.
So both of them have got
So you could run on with a reserve platoon and clobber a load of tanks, and then hopefully with no tanks left. Right.
a Cromwell platoon has got 1 Firefly. They've got 2 Fireflies.
Right. So it's 2 Fireflies, and
3 Cromwells.
as I said to Peter, we've got to remember these are Panzer 4s. They've only got anti-tank 11 and a 32-inch range. Don't let me forget. Right, we're ready to crack on, folks.
I've moved my recon jeeps up here. The para platoon is dashed over here and then did a follow me to try and get round here. This platoon's not moving. Tanks are slowly going forward.
In cagey because of my reserves.
Yes, and ambushes.
And this platoon is from here all the way over, yeah?
Yes.
And that's your HQ.
HQ in there. Yes. And then shooting, we've got mortars re-ranged in over here. Got it first time, got a few hits, but they all saved. And then my artillery tried to range in the same spot, but failed.
General 1 turn summary, so in terms of reserves really, stand step first of all, no ambush. Reserves, I got a platoon on right away and I brought these Panzer 4s on down here and I've been dashing over. If I've got to do it, follow me, I'll come back to that. As you can see, these infantry are moving over, as are the armoured cars. These guys are sidling over to use that as a base to help protect that. These guys didn't unpin, actually, I should have mentioned that. So in terms of shooting, the Wesps ranged in, as did the mortars, and the Wesps managed to kill an anti-tank gun because they moved up, so they're not dug in. Anti-tank gun and a dug in mortar, and then my mortars ranged in here. Didn't get any hits though, but they're both ranged in there now, so that's quite a nasty position to be in. These guys, even though they were pinned, had to go at them. They managed to get 4 hits, a couple of failed saves, but no 6-up firepowers. That exposed them a bit, but what the hell. If I can kill them, it might give they guys opportunity to advance on the flank, but they will deal with them quite easily because they're front armour 7, anti-tank 10 or 11, you know. But that's it for turn 1 for the Germans.
Okay, so managed to unpin the anti-tank guns, managed to unpin the mortars. Movement, this para platoon is moving further over that way to try and
So they're contesting that already.
These just moved 2 inches to try and get out. I think they're still in the
I think they probably are.
They stayed put. Tanks stayed put. The recon just moved about to try and cover the area. Shooting mortars in here. Did I do any?
The mortars killed a base of infantry and a Panzer Schreck.
And then artillery managed to range in here.
Time on target.
And two kills, was it?
Yeah, 2 bases of infantry and 1 Panzer Schreck. And they're pinned, because you obviously want to stop them moving over.
And that was all. That was all that was shot.
German turn 2, so motivations, these guys unpinned, they didn't. Ambush not yet, and reserves again, yeah folks. So I brought the reserves over on that side, up to 16 inches of the corner, and dashed them over to here. They're not within 8 inches of them. You know, I could go after these, and they will get the drop on me, but I want to try and defend the objective. That's my mission. The rest of the movement was these pin guys move sideways. They're actually moving away from the enemy, so they can do that. The scouts are moving. They're going to try and come around here to help. The Panzer IVs are moving over to get cover from that field as much as possible for when the reserves arrive. They will try to dig in next turn. Panzer IV, Gig Panzer IVs, just looking out over there. And then in terms of shooting, my Wesps managed to get a couple of hits here, but he made his saves, but one of the mortars died. Then I rearranged in my mortars over here, but only got, I think, maybe one hit and it didn't get a kill. So a failed save, but a failed firepower. But these are now under the mortar template. I want to try and get rid of them so they don't get whittled down too much. So the mortars are pinned, the guns are not. And then these guys hammered them with 7 hits, and 6 saves were made out of the 7. And the failed one, well, I needed a 6, so I didn't get that, so he's still alive. So that's it for turn 2 for the Germans. Americans will be rolling for reserves.
Okay, so the anti-tank guns didn't unpin, the mortars didn't unpin, but they did pass the last stand. That was all.
Aye, they got 2 up last stand, by the way, folks. No reserves.
No reserves came on. Part of this platoon moved into the wood, and the other part dug in. They were where they were. The tanks tried to sneak out and get some shots on the Panzer IVs. I hit them with a 75.
And I rolled a 1. I always do.
But I just
Failed the firepower.
Failed the firepower. The artillery managed to range in here. Got a few hits, but
yeah, he failed the firepower again. You could have killed a couple of them. Yeah. So if firepower would have been working better, they would have been whittled down and maybe a dead Panzer IV. So German turn 3, no ambush again, folks. As far as motivation goes, they didn't unpin. They did. He didn't get back in. I got my last reserves automatically and they came in over here, so they lot are going to try and gang up on them. The scouts are moving around to have a go at these. Staying put. I'm just going to be sitting waiting, see what happens. Over here, they've dug in, thankfully. So in terms of shooting, a couple of shots down here got no hits. They guys managed just the 1 hit on a Sherman. Mistaken target was used and the Sherman saved. They had a couple of shots but missed. Then artillery, I kept concentrating on these guys, wouldn't mind getting rid of them, but it's only 1 hit and they saved with a reroll. Over here I have hit the guns but didn't kill them, but they're pinned. And then these guys put another ton of shots into here for no effect. So that's it. There's a bit of a tank duel on the go, folks, and Pierre's got to figure out how to keep this lot moving forward. Maybe his tanks will have to help him out, and he'll be rolling for more reserves.
Okay, that I failed to unpin my tank guns. I managed to
unpinned the last stand on the mortars and the artillery.
Okay, unpinned over here. I moved 1 tank around here to the shots over here.
And the rest stayed put.
Oh, sorry, I got 2 reserves.
Let's go down. Right.
So I got my 2 teams that were in reserve. Got Cromwell platoon and my para platoon. So they came on.
Arriving in a total nest.
Yeah. So I think that was all my movement. So shooting wise, over here I shot at the Panzer IV. I managed to kill 1.
1 hit, 1 kill.
And then these boys came on, fired a couple of bazookas at the half tracks and bailed 2. And machine guns also fired from half track but didn't do any damage.
Yeah, they went for the half tracks with machine guns because they were easier to hit than them. Had 4 dice each. There was a potential of taking more defensive fire out. To pin them, it would have been exceptionally good dice rolling because they were going to the ground.
So the effect of that was that they decided they weren't going to assault. We're just going to take the punishment next time. Over here, 3 shots on the HQ and
One hit.
But did I fail my?
Nah, I've actually managed to save that.
The Fireflies fired at this platoon over here
And
managed
missed.
to
Oh, right,
kill
no, sorry.
the
Aye.
guy who was
Who failed it. I used mistaken target and he went instead.
over here. Did I do any damage?
He did. He got one base of infantry
base
between the two.
Between the two.
The mortars were re-rolling hits because there's only 2 of them and that was affecting it. But they still managed to get another base. And you dug them in the woods. That's it. So German turn 4, in terms of motivations, everything was okay except one of those half tracks didn't get back in. In terms of movement, let me see, the guys blitzed forward. I wanted to clear shots at them and they were lined up in a straight line. Oh, and I popped my ambush, it was really awkward. They were limited in what they could see. He had okay visibility, they were limited to 6 inches visibility. And then these guys unpinned, so they're moving up. The armoured cars are coming round to support them. And that was it for movement. So in terms of shooting well, I thought these guys are dead. These guys have had it. 2 shots on 4s and they missed. 4 shots on 5s, they got 1. And in those guys, I thought brilliant. I've got 6 shots on 4s and I got 2 hits. So ultimately, there's only 2 dead tanks. That Firefly being dead is probably good, but they can kill them just as easy. Anti-tank 10 against front armour 6. You'll notice there's no any US infantry left over here. It was just brutal, folks. We're talking with Peter, the only chance he really had was some kind of smoke barrage coming down, but it was, how was that going to be arranged with a line of sight and everything? Try and keep them alive for a turn. We shot to bits end, survivors assaulted. And then over here, let me think, those guys managed to kill 2. Now that put one of them at range of the Fireflies, but they fired and missed. After that I shooted and scooted successfully them, so only one Firefly can currently see them. I've got to watch my flank because there's all the nasty guys over there. But Peter needs to get some kind of miracle shooting back here to try and whittle these guys down to reduce my strength, otherwise I'm going to have loads of tanks against not a lot of tanks.
Okay, so motivation, they unpinned. The mortars, I think they unpinned, but then they failed their last stand, so they ran away. That was all the motivations. Yes, that was all the motivation. Movement, this platoon started to move up. One of the Fireflies moved to get shots, and those guys over there.
Yeah, it was difficult line of sight.
I did move a wee bazooka man up here, but he missed a shot. The recon's just moving up. And then over here, the tanks decided not to move and just took a shot at the Panzer IVs. I managed to kill 1. Over there, did I do any damage?
You've got a heavy machine gun with the artillery, yeah?
The artillery, repeat bombardment, and that was me.
Yep. You'd have got more if you'd have passed your firepower.
Yes.
German turn 5, so motivations, first of all, those 2 didn't get back in, but the last stand was passed on a 6. This half track got back in, and I think that might have been it for motivation. So in terms of movement, first of all, the HQ staying put, the tanks are moving around here. The HQ's gone to ground, they're not firing. One Panzer IV moved, one stayed put, and then I did a blitz and a tactical with these guys to see down the back. These 2 tried to cross to get within sight, and in the end it took all of the firing from him and them, so 2, 4, 6, 7 dice to get those 2 in the end. Let's see now, Elsewhere, there was a bit of shooting into the wood and at the bazooka. The bazooka that was in the field, he got clobbered by heavy machine guns. And then artillery's still not doing much, folks. Still only one hit from the Wesps, and it's saved again. They've made their reroll successful saves 3 turns in a row, so they're doing really well. They guys failed to save again and failed to firepower again on them, so I'm not really having much luck against these gun teams. Here got a pin and 1 kill, them shooting there. So now that I've got rid of all the reserves, I can start to sweep up the table. That's the plan. And Peter's got a decision to make with his Fireflies.
Okay, so motivations, I managed to unpin the anti-tank guns, managed to unpin the artillery, managed to unpin this infantry platoon, and I think...
Oh, and that one too, yeah. Yeah.
As well. And then movement-wise, I managed to blitz this platoon to get shots at the HQ. I moved this platoon here up to try and assault that infantry platoon there. These jeeps dashed over to here. And that was all my movement. And then shooting-wise, I tried to range in with the artillery over here, but failed.
To get the pin before the assault.
The infantry and the anti-tank guns managed to get 6 hits, but managed to pin them. Over here, I had 4 shots in the middle.
Yeah, because I was going to ground, so 6 is needed.
6, and didn't get 6. Over here, this bazooka tried to hit the recon but failed. And that was it. And then went in for assault.
Lost 1 defensive fire.
Managed to get in.
Killed one.
And Frank passed his motivation, but then retreated. Consolidated.
My guys are green, so they're hitting a 5+ in assault, so I thought to hang with it, I'm just going to pull back and hope to machine gun them as they come on. That's not important. That ground's not important just now, if I can get some MGs onto them. So what turn are we on, Peter? What turn is this?
This is your turn 6.
Turn 6, okay, so in this turn, folks, how was it for motivations? Everything was okay, really, apart from these guys not remounting and the survivor legging it. In terms of movement, I kind of gathered everything up the back and moved it forward. These have dashed up, they've remounted and dashed. These ones have dashed, and then these guys, no, they tacticaled and followed me. And then these guys tacticaled over from here, these Panzer IVs. HQ stayed where they were. In terms of shooting, first thing I did was put a smoke screen down because I can't kill those bloody guns. There should be maybe 1 left by now, but as it is, there is 2 left because I killed 1 last turn, but at least they won't be able to do anything to me as I redeploy. Everything here just stayed put. I didn't try to dig them in. 3 of them are not dug in. They're just going to have to take the pain. And lots of hits in here. I maybe only killed 1 or 2 of them, but they're pinned. Likewise over here, lots of hits from heavy machine guns, from tanks, but a pin but no kills. Yeah, in fact I think the basic kill from here was from a Pack 40. And then over there they got 2 hits on these guys, 1 potential kill, 1 potential bail, both failed firepower, so there's 1 bailed and 1 alive, so they could easily clobber them, but I shoot and scooted to get myself into long range. So I've gathered my stuff, I now need to get them the hell out of Dodge. Well, there you go, folks. We decided on a draw from that turn onwards. You know, with time, I'm sure my army, once it gathered itself back up together, would go up in machine gun, mortar, shoot all those poor paras to bits. And I'm sure that would have been successful, but it would have taken quite a few more turns. And remember, my guys, in terms of assault, they're not very good. They would have to hit him on a 5-up in assault because I'm using the beach defence guys. They're okay for motivation, they're just normal motivation, but hitting on a 5-up in assault isn't very good, so I couldn't even just rely on somehow charging in and getting a successful assault in. But Peter did well getting into the woods and getting into a position where he could at least hold the ground. a mistake I maybe made there was by defending that 1/4 in depth. I maybe should have defended diagonally across the table so that he couldn't move from his quarter into the objective quarter without coming up against some defence. But that may have exposed one of my platoons to a quick demise. Just tell us what your own thoughts are on that, folks. Anyway, folks, there you go. That's another couple of battle reports. Hopefully you enjoyed them and there's some interesting points in there for you. Thanks for watching, as always. Thanks for subscribing again, or from dropping in, if that's what you do from time to time. If you'd like to support the channel and you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and that means we'll definitely see you all on the next one.